What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the interweb? So if you've been on social media, you probably noticed that everyone and their mother is begging for Pokemon Shield and Pokemon Sword to come to the PlayStation 4. That's not surprising. I've been saying it for a while. As a Sony fanboy myself, you can look back there and see that's not even all my games. You go through that room and there's a ton of them. So everyone kind of wants Nintendo quality games on their console at this point. PlayStation puts out a bunch of subpar games. God of War, for example. Horizon Zero Dawn. Spider-Man is their best game to have so far this generation. And these are facts. You can look at the sales. The sell numbers prove it. These games are not anywhere near the quality and the, value of a Nintendo game. So everyone is begging for Nintendo-style games on the PlayStation 4. Now, personally, I own it all, so I don't really care about fanboy stuff either way, but it kind of shows a change in time. People are no longer really interested in these weird, kind of hyper-realistic games. I mean, people are obviously interested in it, but the ones like God of War, the ones like Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted, Spider-Man, they will never perform as good as a Nintendo game. A low-quality Nintendo game outperformed all of those games. And that's kind of crazy when you think about it. So to me personally, I think it's a change in time. I don't think this means PlayStation having bad exclusives. I don't think it means Nintendo's any better. I just think people are wanting to have their games mobile again. I think people are wanting to go back to that old school retro style of gameplay. I really enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn, and I really, really enjoyed Spider-Man. But playing through those games kind of made me realize something. PlayStation is all about seeing what they can do, not how much better they can do something. So PlayStation abandoned all of their old IPs. Jak and Daxter's dead and gone, Sly Cooper's dead and gone, Ratchet and Clank's dead and gone, and to a certain degree, God of War, from when it was actually good, is dead and gone. But Nintendo, on the other hand, they're taking everything that they excelled with and pushing the bar higher. And every time they push the bar higher, people are getting more excited. People are getting more, a bigger desire to play these games. If you look at the Nintendo Switch sell numbers, it is outselling the Wii. It is outselling the PlayStation 2. Is it going to outsell the PlayStation 2 in total? I don't know, because if you are in the gaming sphere at all, you likely know the only reason the PlayStation 2 sold so well is because after the PlayStation 3 came out, the PlayStation 2 was finally, at a price that could be affordable to all these third world countries like Brazil, the Philippines, etc., etc. So it pushed the price up. Same thing with the Nintendo Wii, or units sold, I should say. The Nintendo Switch will likely be like that because it's already a pretty cheap console as is. The PlayStation 4 probably won't be like that because everything has to be downloaded, and those countries aren't going to be too interested in downloading games. That's why you're always seeing physical games go to Brazil and then just being digital everywhere else. So that's kind of something that I see happening in the future. But is Pokemon Shield and Pokemon Sword being begged for by PlayStation fans a sign that PlayStation is dying? To a certain degree, yes. But to everyone else that isn't going to be like fanboying out and everything, it's not really a sign of anything. It's just a sign that people want our old games back. People want old IPs back. Nobody cares about Horizon Zero Dawn. Let Jak 4 or Sly 5 come out right now today with no marketing at all, and I guarantee you it'll sell 10 million copies way faster than Horizon Zero Dawn. It'll be Game of the Year 2019 competing with all the Pokemon games and all the stuff Nintendo's coming out with this year. Because one thing that has been true since 2017 is Nintendo has the best exclusives. There's no way to get around that. Look at the sales, look at the reviews, look at the time people spend playing these games. No one's going to argue that Nintendo does not have the best exclusives of this generation. And PlayStation is still out here being stubborn, not wanting to embrace the fact that people are nostalgic. People want their old games. People want new entries and things they grew up with. Everyone and their mother grew up with Pokemon. Everyone and their mother on PlayStation grew up with Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank. You name it. It was all stuff that were staples of the console, staples of the company. But the company does not care. The company, especially now with Andrew House gone and, Shawn, Layden, and Jim Ryan, RIP to PlayStation, 100%. Because after, I think, The Last of Us 2, I think The Last of Us 2 is the last thing of the Andrew House era. Once the Andrew House era is fully gone, then we're going to fully be in the Shawn, Layden, and Jim Ryan era. Which means, oh my god, PlayStation's going to fall. So I think people are trying to get the message to PlayStation right now that, hey, we want and we absolutely need our old games to make a comeback. It really is not going to be that hard for them to make Jak 4 or for them to completely remake the Jak and Daxter series. It's not something that would be that difficult for them to do. They have the money. I mean, it would take time and stuff to make, but they have the money. PlayStation is a multi-billion-dollar company. They don't have as much money as Microsoft and Xbox or Nintendo, but they have enough money that they could do this stuff without any problem. So people port begging for Pokemon on the PlayStation 4 is not a sign that Nintendo is just absolutely walking all over PlayStation, or that the PlayStation is worse than the Nintendo, or the Nintendo is worse than the PlayStation. It's not anything like that. I mean, yes, you can say that Nintendo Switch is better because it's outselling, the games are selling better and reviewing better, but better is subjective. And everybody at this point just wants everything, all our old games back. All of our old games, we want them back. Crash Bandicoot sold extremely well. Spyro is broken, it's barely playable, and it sold extremely well. Shadow of the Colossus Remake, extremely well. Ratchet & Clank 2016, extremely well. But PlayStation is up here on this pedestal where they don't want to take in anything that fans say. So therefore, fans are port begging for things like Pokemon because fans are starting to realize that if they want to play the games of their childhood or games that remind them of their childhood, they're going to have to 100% get a Nintendo Switch. And not everyone's happy about that. I mean, if you look at someone like me, I'm not hurting for money. I can buy the new console that I want no matter what. If, PlayStation 5 comes out $9,000 and, Jak 4 comes to it, okay, I'll go buy it. It's not a problem for me. But that's a problem for a lot of people inside this country, inside this world. So port begging for retro games from other consoles is going to become something that's going to become prevalent. It's not just going to be something that PlayStation fans are doing. It's going to be something that everyone off of Nintendo are going to be doing. I mean, look at Nintendo. We're begging for ports of literally the basics of Super NES, the basics of the Nintendo 64. But they're not giving it to us. None of these companies are listening to us. Yes, Nintendo is still giving us retro style games as their mainline brand new games, but we want a lot of the old stuff back. And PlayStation, as I've been with them since like 1999, 2000, somewhere around there, I grew up with all these classics. I grew up playing the best exclusives you could get on a PlayStation console. PlayStation 4 has been straight downhill for retro style games. Everything has been new in some way. Uncharted isn't even Uncharted anymore. God of War isn't God of War anymore. Nothing is how we know it. Nothing is the way we want it. So for us to be begging for Nintendo, or for the PlayStation diehard fanboys that only own a PlayStation, to be begging for ports of a Nintendo Switch game, that needs to be a wake-up call for PlayStation so that they can start bringing back their old games so that they can keep their audience. I'm not saying that this is going to be enough for the Nintendo Switch to completely slaughter the PlayStation 4, but there's going to be a lot of people starting to buy Switches just to play retro style games and these old games. I mean, think about it. It's going to be something that's going to be a problem in the next gen if PlayStation is not backwards compatible with everything like they're rumored to be. When Xbox and the Switch are doing all this stuff to keep their old stuff alive and the old style alive, it's going to be a real problem for PlayStation. So in conclusion of this video, do I see them begging for ports of Pokemon games as a bad thing? No. It should just be a wake-up call for PlayStation. I view it as a good thing because I still want Jak 4. So if people can get to PlayStation and make them realize that we want the old games, then we'll get the old games. Until then, we're going to be wasting away with like mediocre exclusives that are trying to be something that's not supposed to be, like God of War. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see how it plays. I'm not going to beg for Switch games to be ported, and I'm not going to beg for PlayStation games to get ported to PlayStation. Or to get ported to Nintendo Switch, I mean. But for you, personally watching this video, Do you want Nintendo games to be ported to PlayStation? Do you want PlayStation games ported to Nintendo? Or do you just want PlayStation to wake up and get with the times and start making retro-style games again? I'm not saying super retro like PlayStation 1, but they need to get back on it with making PlayStation 2-style games. That's what made The Last of Us and Uncharted so great. Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us Part 2 are likely not going to be the same game that we want. They're likely going to be something new, pushing the envelope that may or may not lead to disappointment. And this is something we should be concerned about with the new era of PlayStation. Now that Andrew House is gone, Shawn Layden and Jim Ryan can mold these games however they want. And that's something we need to take into consideration. But what do you think? And with that being said, try not to die. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.